All right.
I can make elevator music
Hi,
instead.
and welcome to System.debug. We're your hosts. I am Megan Essa.
And I'm S4SB with you.
What up? What's good?
It is just
Happy
clouding
heat
on
wave.
Yeah, I think it's actually cloudier in Southern California than it is in the PNW right now.
Yeah, that 113-degree weather the other day, 114-degree weather, it was pretty insane. Plus humidity.
Ooh, that sounds a little too big Endian for me.
Yeah, not to mention most people don't have the AC up here, so I got my little R2D2 going. But my golly, man, it's been crazy. So anyway, it's nice to see you again. It's nice to have you back on the show.
See you, Meg. It's been a little bit. Gosh, it's been I think it's been 2 months since you and I graced the presence of System.debug together.
Yeah,
so, good to
it's
be back.
awesome having you back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on. Things are starting to open up. Life seems to be getting a little bit more normal. Things been busy. Oh, there's a new Health Cloud Super Badge that came out. Thank you, Trailhead team.
Thank you, Chris Duarte, and all of the amazing Trailhead team that puts out awesome stuff. I'm very much looking forward to that super badge once I finally finish LWC specialist to land my JavaScript 1 finally.
You're still working on that. How do you do that one?
I have friends with boats, but no friendships apparently. That's okay.
You've got friends with boats, but you don't have any friendships?
I don't have any friendships. And I haven't done net new Aura development for quite some time. But yeah, I'm doing LWCs for work all day and have not nailed down all my Lightning map and chatter comment review stuff for that. So chipping away. Super badges are no joke. I'm thinking one time we will have an episode where we walk through how to tackle a super badge. What are some of the ways that you can debug things and wrap your head around some of the hints they give you besides those big requirement write-ups. So someday.
Here. And one of the things that we didn't get the chance to talk about also was MuleSoft Connect. And major props. Thank you, MuleSoft, for the presents. I love my puzzle and my water bottle. Life's coming back when you're getting swag again.
Nice.
And speaking of swag and events, we've got some community events that are going to start happening. So we're virtual for a little bit longer with so there's a new community event that's going on, virtual. Very first ever. It's called Consultancy Driven. And that is happening on 7/7. Yeah.
Nice. So next week.
So yeah, next week. And then there's also Pakistan Dreamin' that is coming in September. Super excited, first ever. And speaking of September, the Dreamforce. Oh my gosh. And
get this. My son is actually playing Earth, Wind, and Fire September for his rock and roll camp this week.
What?
On Friday. Yes.
Very nice. You must be so proud.
I am very proud. So yeah, look for Dreamforce, and that's going to be in multiple cities.
Multiple cities. There's New York, San Francisco, and is it London? I think it's London. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, and then there are 5,000 select partners that get to go to Dreamforce in San Francisco. So very exciting. So
very cool.
And then going right along with that, one of our amazing California people, our whole California crew, I guess, of amazing, being as you are Californian. We've got a great virtual event coming up right after. Oaktown Dreamin' is going to be virtual afterwards. I went to that last year and it was really, really good. Nice. So good. And then they had Oaktown Dreamin' Part 2 just a few months ago on leadership. Fantastic.
I think that was when I was up for spring break. right? Like I went up to San Jose. Is that March, end of March, April?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Something around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and some other ones. Let's see. Call for speakers for Tahoe Dreamin'.
So that's what I was leading up to, is the fact that we're
Excellent.
getting back to real life, and we got Tahoe Dreamin' coming. Oh, are you going?
November?
I'm going.
Yeah, I got to submit my 2 or 3 talk ideas finally tonight. I got to
submit too. Yeah.
Yep.
I had so much fun at last Tahoe Dreaming when it was still Tahoe Dreaming before they made it Sacramento Dreaming. I didn't go to that one, but I went to Tahoe. And I presented with Daniel Stange from Germany. Daniel's so fantastic. Yeah, so much love.
And then also locally,
that exact same day. Hold on, that exact same time that Tahoe Dreamin' is happening is when we also have what is it? Florida Dream. Or no, it's yeah. Florida Dream is the exact same day.
Nice. In person.
In real life. In real life.
IRL.
Ohana. Ohana.
Good. Locally, I'm finally putting together LA developer groups first thing since COVID hit. My apologies, but we're getting back on the ball, and it's going to be DevOps related. Getting the trial run this week because I have not done the new Trailhead community group stuffs yet. So getting used to the virtual platform. Thank you for your patience, local community.
You better make sure that you're going to those user group leader calls.
I do.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't there one this week?
There's one in June.
In June.
There's one in June. There's one that's coming up next month.
Got it.
They're monthly. Yep. I expect to see you there. Speaking of all these events, one thing that you usually have at an event, especially when you're presenting, is an audience. I'll leave it segue.
Correct. And so what happens if you've got something and you don't present it to the right audience? No good. So today we're going to talk to you a little bit about knowing your audience and how to cater certain things to the right audiences, specifically in Salesforce experiences, aka communities, aka portals or sites, or whatever your flavor.
No, not sites. We're not using those sites. We're not using those sites.com. We are building with a lightning community here.
Correct.
That's the one that has audiences. Don't think that site.com and sites have audiences just because they're an experience lab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, when we talk about the audience, we're talking about let's first break this down. So you have audience, like these are the people that are there to like chill, but you also have audiences and the ability to control page variations and components. Before we go too deep into this, I really want to highlight your audience is not security. If you hide something, just because you hide it doesn't mean they can't get to it.
You can still navigate. Exactly. It's like taking a field off of a page layout does not mean that they don't have access to the field.
Right. And I had done this on internal Salesforce, working with one of everybody's favorite objects, contracts. You work with contracts? Oh, dude. So contracts have a master detail to the account. So if you can see the account, you can see the contract.
Right. Wait a minute. Master detail. That means sharing permissions controlled by parent.
Right.
Yes. Tell me more.
And with that, you've got to keep in mind the data that you hold on that record. Do you really want everybody to see it? Oh, yeah. Because if you end up putting socials, business ideas, PII data, and just be dumping it all over on a record that's controlled with a master detail without having regulation about who can see the appearance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And remember,
way, this is oh, go ahead.
This is beyond, like, we're not going to mention community membership, right? Which is actually getting in the door. This is kind of, once you're in the door, do you get to the VIP section? Can you go in that room? Can you use the bathroom with the short line, or do you have to wait in the bathroom with the long line? Right, kind of like Coachella tiers. But no, once you get in the door, audiences are not FLS or sharing, but they are another layer to help you cater your experience and what different people see. So what would be a use case that you've seen where you need to start taking audiences into consideration for page variations?
What a great, oh, thank you. Thank you for telling about me. What a great point. So when we need to create an audience, you know, there are a lot of different reasons. One of them that I can think of that comes straight to mind is when you have an authenticated and unauthenticated community and you have two different views and you have your homepage. That homepage for an unauthenticated user is going to be very different than the homepage for an authenticated user. Usually once you get into your community, you're going to have all your bells and whistles and, you know, your rainbows and your unicorns and your ladybugs. And Salesforce terms, there'd be your unicorn astros, your Codys, your blazes, you know, all the clouds and all the funs. But your guest, you just want to give them a teaser. You know, you can't expose all of that information. That's secure data.
We don't want to show an unauthenticated guest user a dashboard for sales information, even if it's going to be blank.
So no, you also don't want to set up a sharing rule that says share all accounts with guests where name is equal to null, or where name isn't equal to null.
Did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did. You did.
I jest. Ooh, jest. That's another day. Okay, so page variation. This can apply for out-of-the-box standard pages like home, like record detail, account detail, any of your custom object details or list pages. Like when you create a new community page, you can make it a standard object page, which gives you the trifecta or triad of detail, list, and related list?
Related, yep.
Yeah. But also to totally custom pages, you can make different variations so that it'll still navigate to /my-new-page, but it can have a different layout with different components dragged onto it that are for different audiences. And I guess before we go more into this, what is an audience and how can you, like, what makes an audience? An audience essentially is a name, and with that you can add,
So your audience is a group that you set up within a community that you decide what the criteria is. They can be overlapping or not overlapping. You can have, I think it is 130,000 or something like that of them within a community. So be very, very cautious. They can get out of control very fast. So in other ways, you can make a heck ton of them. So the thing about your audiences are within a community. So within Salesforce, you were able to base it on your record data, permissions, custom permissions, and the user. Mm-hmm. In your community, Experience Cloud just got the ability to use record data.
I just saw that actually. Yeah.
That came out just a couple of releases ago. They also have the ability to base it off of just which record type. That's what they used to have, was record type, just record type. In addition to permissions, user, custom permissions. And then one other thing that you have that is very special and community only is location. Location. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the location is not going to work in your sandbox or in your dev org. You're going to have to contact Salesforce to get that to work in a sandbox. And then for a dev org, no, not going to work. It's not going to work. Yeah.
And now is location like territory management, or is location where you are?
It's where you are. Yeah, it's your actual location. Yeah. So let me tell you a little story about one of the communities I built. Probably it's actually my first community. My first community had it was based out of Europe, and it was for a company that had different things that they sold, or that did sales, and it was for sales in the community. And you could do like, there's things I want to buy. Let me save it, and then I can get it from them. Well, based on where you are, there were different regulations in each country about what you could buy. So, first of all, we had to deal with translations for every field, including text fields. Second of all, we had to deal with location. Now, that location concept can be very, very messy because some countries have very strict rules for location, especially some industries in those countries. So healthcare, big one. In France, you can't be linking or having English in the healthcare. At least that was what we kept getting hit with.
Ouch. Hating on English. Oh.
Well, it was a French site, so you got to keep it consistent.
And although you can't, I mean, there are internationalization tools for communities. But for instance, if you drag a rich content editor or an HTML editor component onto a community page, you can't use a custom label on that, correct?
Well, no, but they now have the ability for you to export those pages within your little, in the side gear. You go to your languages, and that exports your whole page and all text on that page. So you can literally take that page, translate, load it back in right there without ever leaving Experience Builder.
Nice. And that way, even though, you might be a German speaker in France, you could at least by location customize that page to be in French if the user was logged in France.
Right. And, you can still have your multi-language as well. It's not like we would ban them from switching it to their language. It was specific for France that if your website was in one language, you couldn't have text in a different language. It didn't matter what the language was. Yeah.
Right.
Now, speaking of that location, one of the things that we ended up having to do, because the first time we built this community, we didn't have Lightning, only the second time. Lightning just wasn't there in the beginning. It's only recently came out. What was that, 2016? Something like that. But we ended up basing it off of the address of the account. But that meant if somebody was traveling and they came into the country, it would be a different experience.
Right.
So just something to think about, keep in mind. And then for permissions, when you're working with those, you're looking at your user permissions. So Nathan, tell me about that lovely XML file everybody loves for permissions, and what your user permissions are.
I think ginormous comes to mind. Even with SFDX, right? We've made things more granular, like objects, fields, etc. But yeah, user. I mean, and these are the things that you can sockle on user, right? Permission, permission, this and that.
Right. It's not your object values, right? There's no access to your account, read, write, delete. Yeah.
Correct.
It's all the other things.
I'm going in here. So on the page variation, so number one, the way to view and create and manage your audiences, it doesn't have its own area in Experience Builder per se. You will get there by clicking the little in the gear where you get to see your page variations in Experience Builder. You'll click the little drop down next to the variation and go edit assignment on audiences.
That's one way to see your audience.
What? How do you see audiences? Is there a place in Workspaces?
There are so many more places you can see audiences. So when you're looking at your page and your page variation, you've got your caret. You can also click that button on that page that says page variation. You can also go to your branded manager, which is a little paintbrush on the side, and you have audiences in there. And then also on your individual components within the carrot, you can see your audiences in there.
No way. So looking at the permissions inside of a page variation, you're able to do it on permissions. Now, these are not custom permissions, which are essentially just a name that you check in Apex, right? Is this
you can make
user...
those. You can make it based off of the custom permissions.
What?
Absolutely.
Oh, there we go. Standard and custom right there.
I've done it a ton of times. Yeah.
Nice. So you can even get that granular and custom to make a custom permission that would say, give somebody a different path in Apex code, but also use that to give them a different page variation or make a certain component show on your page.
Yeah. So I did an automation hour back in 2019, 2020, one of the two, about having non-account based sharing, where you're able to have your community users run your sharing, and they could share with people that are not from their account. And that component that they ran their sharing from, that was done so that only those people that had the custom permission were able to do it. Boom.
Nice. All right, so so there are a ton of things that you can make audiences out of: domain, location, standard and custom permissions, profile, record details recently, and then also user details like your contacts account, the user profile, role, you name it. Very robust. So now once we're on a specific page variation, what can you do on a single page with audiences?
So you can make your components individually visible based on their audience. Nice. So if I have that exact sharing component, and I only wanted people that were in Seattle to see it, and I wanted people in LA not to see it, I could do that. Or people with a custom permission to see it. Yeah.
So if I wanted to make something where only people in LA could see it, but not people in Seattle, I could do that?
Absolutely. You can get down to the city level.
Wonderful.
I think you
but
can
not in a sandbox or scratch.org.
Well, you gotta have it turned on in the sandbox. Yeah. Oh, you know what else you can do? You can also set it. I had a really good example. Oh, flows. You can have it so that only people that can run flows can see the flows on the page. So much easier than having it hidden error. Yeah.
Yeah, or have a disclaimer like, pay no mind to this error-prone box.
Right? Yeah. Good. Pretty snazzy, man. I mean, audiences are best friend like. Yeah. Right, BFF.
Speaking of our audience, it looks like we had Doug chime in. I did post the link to the Tahoe Dreaming call for speakers for everyone interested, wants to get down to California where it's a little cooler than the PNW, at least for now.
The green grass grows all around, and the green grass grows all around.
Yes, more rain than LA, definitely.
So hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I wanted to live in Dubai, I would have moved to Dubai. Okay.
It's expensive.
So Seattle.
Yeah. Well, shoot, I think we, if you haven't heard of experience or of audiences and experiences before today, hopefully that gives you some food for thought on how you can make your community experience more robust and more catered. Is there a an analogy to audiences on the internal org? I know that we can cater our LWCs.
Exact same thing. Yeah. Okay. So you have the ability internally, just like I used with those contracts, and to decide whether or not to display the contract record details. And then when I didn't display it, I put up a little disclaimer that said, hey, blah, 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 blah. This is not available to you. Please contact this person who is the owner. And then the way that I worked around security there was I took away all of the out of the box contract reports, and I only had custom report types available. And beautiful. I hid all of those fancy schmancy fields. Yeah.
Nice. Component visibility filtering. Can you do that on, so wait, inside a Lightning app builder, you're able to apply the same audiences? Like, will those show up internally?
So not that you won't have the audience you created in the community. Those won't show up in another community. They also won't show up internally. However, got it. You can just build an audience. Yeah.
Right. So in internal Lightning pages in the app builder, you're still limited to setting all those filters on components, but you won't have an audience the way you would in a community or an experience.
So you'll have all of them. You'll have all of the same types of attributes. You won't have the same audience record, and you also won't have the ability to use location.
Got it. Yeah. Only with experiences.
Right.
All right.
All right, man. This was fun. I liked it. I think we made some good progress talking about the audience. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, folks, make sure you find out what's coming up around your neck of the woods, since it won't just be virtual. We've already got some in-person things coming up.
Yeah, check out your local user group. Find out, if you're fully vaccinated, check it out and see if you can go and meet up with some of those people when you feel safe. Yeah. And make sure that you get your second shot or your first shot. Anyone out there still waiting to get vaccinated? Let's all get this going on so that we can have new normal start hugging our Ohana again and get all excited at Dreamforce and be like, oh my God, I miss you. I'm all pumped. Yeah. And I want to also give a quick plug here. So there is a fundraiser that is going on that is happening by one of our amazing Ohana, one of the co-founders of Educators for Good. So we have Akash Mishra, who has done with Educators for Good, who is trying to raise money via the PayPal. There's a link that's on my Facebook, and there's also one that is on my Twitter. I'll make sure to retweet it out via system.debug as well. And they've hit their goal, but wouldn't it be great if we could help them go over? They're working to raise money for their facility in India, and working on getting them supplies, ventilators, etc., anything else that they can use. They were hit pretty hard, so whatever you can do, $20, $5, retweet. Please try to donate if you can and support your fellow Ohana and try to help get us out of this COVID situation. Yeah.
We will put some info about that below.
Yeah. 100%. Awesome. Other than that, I'd say it's time to stay cool, because I put ice in this at the start of our call and it's all gone.
Oh, no.
That's how hot it is. Oh, burn it up.
I drank all my iced coffee and there is still some ice, which I will chew on now.
Oh. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for joining us and for listening to us talk about fun community facts and learning about the fun events happening with your local Salesforce community. Follow us on the Twitter. We've got system.debug, and I'm Megan SF.
And I am S-Force Be With You. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Peace out. That's